The Church of Our Fathers by Roland H. Bainton, Part 1 of Chapter 22. A New World. Okay, that's not quite the song I was trying to sing, but so let's get a couple pages in. America, when discovered, opened a new field for the church. Here was a terra nova, which means a new earth, full of terrors the map-makers of the old world imagined. Well, they imagined it to have all these terrors. Cannibals and monsters were put in the center of his map. Yet, for all the terrors here, was a world with new men to be won for Christ. Here, well, perhaps they had a better religion. Maybe the individual that warned them about the cross and the pig was right. That don't turn from your nature. But here too were new lands where the persecuted could find freedom and erect holy commonwealths. First came the explorers, later the colonists. For the first 100 years after the discovery of America, the efforts of the church were bent on converting the Indians. After 1600, white settlers began to fill up the land and brought with them different forms of religion from the Old World. We shall look first at the missionaries to the Indians, and then at the colonists and their churches. Christopher Columbus, on reaching the shores of the New World, raised the cross of Christ, or they thought it was the cross of Christ, and the flag of Spain, and wrote to the king that the natives have a knowledge that there is a God above, and are firmly persuaded that we come from heaven. They should be Christianized, he added, and the king would receive much gold from the country. Unfortunately, the conquerors cared most for the gold. They would baptize the Indians to save their souls, and then rob and enslave their bodies. Here is Cortez, the bloody conqueror of Mexico, holding up the crucifix, while Indian chiefs are being baptized. The circle in the priest's hand is the bowl from which he is pouring water. The belief of the natives that the newcomers came from heaven was used to trick them. The white men offered the simple folk a voyage to paradise to see their dead forefathers, but once on board, the Indians were carried into slavery. Real Christians were shocked by such cruelty. Well, people definitely saw it supported by real Christianity, so there was a difference of opinion. A Dominican friar named Las Casas wrote an account of the barbarities and went home to Spain to put the case before the king. The Spaniards asked Las Casas how much he thought could be done with the Indians without the swords and only with the words. He replied that he would go into a fierce religion called the Land of War, and he would win it to Christ by words alone, provided the king would keep all other Spaniards away for 5 years. Las Casas did it, and changed the name of that land to Vera Paz, the land of true peace. It is today a part of Guatemala. In Mexico and Southern California, the Franciscans were active. On the next page is a picture of two of their missionaries meeting an Indian chief and his 3 squaws. And San Francisco is named for St. Francis. Los Angeles means the angels. Sacramento means sacrament. In the north, along the St. Lawrence and the Great Lakes, the Jesuits were the most astounding missionaries. Among their number, none was more brave and good than Isaac Jogues. He was a French lad. His mother, at Orleans in France, heard him say his first Mass and bade him goodbye as he sailed for the New World. And might as well show the illustration, lest I not get to it in this video. I do not know what it is to enter paradise, he wrote his mother, but I cannot imagine a greater joy than was mine when I said Mass at Quebec. Then he set out to work among the Hurons. I personally believe that those leading and following the ritual are inherently taking part in the same thing, whether it's by video or in person or whatnot, according to their consciousness and their intentions and effort and that sort of thing. But it's not oh, I have priestly authority and I'm doing this. I don't believe that part. A father who had been with them before gave his advice. You must have real love for the savages. Do not keep them waiting. When they get in their boats, light their pipes for them and their fires, eat their food even when you don't like it, and take it at the time when it is served. Do not carry sand or water into their canoes. Do not make trouble, and don't ask too many questions. Do not criticize, always be cheerful. Give them pocket knives, fish hooks, and glass beads. Carry their baggage, if it be only a kettle. They care nothing for the qualities that made you loved in France. If you could go naked and carry as much as a horse, they would think you were a great man. Think only on the cross of Christ, and you shall find roses and thorns, and sweetness and bitterness. Among the Hurons, Father Jogues, Jogues, and his fellow black robes, as the Indians called them, were in danger because they got well after an attack of influenza, whereas many Indians died. The Hurons thought that the whites must have some magic, and that they used only for themselves. When at last the trust of the Hurons was won, another trouble came. The Mohawks were at war with the Hurons and the French. Someone was needed to go back from the mission to Quebec for supplies. Jacques was asked. I'm trying another one. Though not ordered to go, he went with his companions, both French and Indian, but the party was ambushed. The soldiers fought manfully. Jacques, as a priest, was not allowed to fight and lay hidden in the grass. He might have run away, but he said, could I leave our French and Christian Indians where they needed me to give up the help of the church in their tortures? He gave himself up. And, okay, I've read that last bit wrong.